Good morning, Seller Sessions, and happy Monday. Isabella Hamilton with Rank Bell, and I have a very special guest with us this morning, Miss Crystal Asi. How are you, my love?
I'm very good, but for me, it's not morning. It's
Exactly.
late at night.
For I think I'm the only one that's like in the morning zone. For you, it's like 8 p.m., right?
It is.
Absolutely. So you already had a full work day. You already accomplished so much, right? Tell us a little bit who you are and what you do.
First of all, thank you so much, Isabella. I'm very excited to be here with you, and I'm very excited to talk about my favorite subject, which is selling. Like, I love sales. Who can say that? But just let me give you a little bit of a brief about me and what I currently do. So, my name is Crystal, and I am the founder of a company called Amazon Sellers Society. And we just came up with the name almost 5 years ago because we thought it sounded fancy and it could let you know exactly what the company does just by googling it and trying to figure out that, okay, what does this company do? Okay, it does something related to Amazon. So I came up with the idea when I created Amazon Sellers Society. I think there wasn't, or at least to my knowledge, I didn't know that there was anybody doing what is now known as Amazon account management. So I had just exited my Amazon business and I was still in love with the whole business model. And I thought, okay, I clearly love bossing people around and I clearly love the management aspect of Amazon and strategy and all of that. What if I can do it for other people rather than just doing it for myself? Because I don't really like creating brands. I'm not particularly passionate about anything other than business. So it's quite tough for me to try to figure out what products, like to come up with like the latest yoga mat or something. But
Right.
it's very easy for me and it comes very naturally for me to try to manage something. So that's what we ended up doing. And then fast forward to today, a lot of things have changed for us. But fast forward to today, we are actually based in Dubai and we are fully committed to Amazon in the Middle East. And I know a lot of people have heard about, Amazon being in the Middle East. They don't have a lot of information about it. Well, I'm going to give you a lot of information so you see if this is a good marketplace for you to expand into. What we currently do is we help brands, businesses, entrepreneurs get their products from, if they are currently selling on Amazon in the US or in Europe, we help them set up their business in the Middle East to sell on Amazon in either Amazon UAE, which is the country where Dubai is located, but Dubai is actually more famous. Also, we have an Amazon in Saudi Arabia as well as an Amazon in Egypt. And of course, we also help local brands and businesses be able to set up their accounts, their listings, because there's not really a lot of information. And we help them do all of that on Amazon. So that's what we basically do.
Do you see a lot of sellers that sell on Amazon.com trying to not move necessarily, but have some other avenues like listing their products um on the side of the world you are in? Do you see that as a trend becoming more popular or not yet?
Fantastic question. I think back in 2019, because Amazon really started at but that maybe March of 2019. So a lot of sellers, of US based sellers, if they ever spent any time in the Middle East, particularly in Dubai, if they've ever visited or even lived here, they would be fully on board because they know the country, they know how rich people are here and how much money they like to spend. So, and it's obviously a little bit daunting when you want to sell in a country which you have absolutely no idea about.
Mhm.
So those were the early adopters, but now fast forward to 2021, no, we find a lot of really established brands, even aggregators that manage a lot of brands. Those are the people that are currently coming into the market, and they're really excited about it because it's really a very simple market at the moment. Competition is very, very low. It's very easy. If you have the
Right.
skills, which you should have if you are selling on Amazon.com, it's like you have a PhD in selling, and then you're applying for a basic position.
Got
So
it.
it's actually quite interesting. But I think it's also very much dependent on your strategy as a seller. So the cool thing about the current climate that we're living in is that you can expand anywhere. You can go to Europe, you can go to Australia, you can go to Japan, you can go to Singapore. There's so many places where you can expand into, and you need to take it one step at a time, and you need to make sure, obviously, that your product is going to succeed in the Middle East if you want to do that jump. But yeah, I see more and more people that are interested and that are actively doing
I
it.
love that. What's like one objection or one fear that you hear from sellers? Like, oh, I'm afraid to do this move because of what? Like, what is one thing that it holds them back, you think?
I love your questions. 'Cause the one thing is you're kind of going in blind. So you don't really, we don't, for a marketplace like the Middle East, since it is a newer marketplace, and just to give you an idea, the population of the UAE is 10 million people. So it's a very small country. Um, but potentially we focus on the whole of the Middle East, which gives you about, depending on how many countries you lop into the Middle East, but it gives you anywhere between 100 million all the way down to 60 million. So it's the size of a country in Europe. It's not that big.
Mhm.
So there is not, you don't find the traditional softwares that most sellers use, like Helium 10 or Jungle Scout. They're still not functioning on Amazon in UAE or other Middle East marketplaces. So most people are going in blind. They don't know how many units to even send to the Middle East
Mhm.
FBA warehouse. Like they don't know, like how many units should I send? What should I expect? So that's the main issue that most sellers are facing.
And are you able to help them with that since you've been doing it for so long? Are you able to give them some guidance when it comes to, how many units they should send in or, any type of help for a PPC strategy or a launching strategy, anything like that? Is your company able to help or what do you do with
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, we are able to help. We use a lot of Amazon's own brand analytics to help us
Mhm.
figure out the demand. We also are very lucky to have access to the beta programs of softwares that are going to be launching in the region. So we're able to have early access to those. So we're able to, give some data because you want to base your decision on data. And there's always the idea of, well, I live in the market, we know exactly what's happening here easily. There's like common sense sometimes of a product that is just too western, even though the market here is made up of primarily expats, people from so many different countries, but still it has to be a product that can be used by everyone. So it has to be a universal product so it can translate to the market here.
Have you ever thought about launching your own software tools?
I'm actually working on it. What?
Well, I figure, I mean, you already have all this information. You already know what sellers need. You already know what kind of data you need to extract. So might as well, right?
We're actually seriously working on it. We're going to
Right.
be launching our MVP. Well, we were hoping for December. So right here in the Middle East, there's not really a very big ecosystem for developing tech softwares and stuff. We had to outsource these things. So what we decided to do was to go to Estonia. Estonia in Europe is one of the number one startup countries for anything that is related to digital products, not products, but digital softwares and technology solutions. So we actually applied to the startup program, and a lot of people apply, and we actually got accepted. And that's basically based on the idea that we pitched because the numbers are that good. So yeah,
Mhm.
we're developing
Well,
it at the moment. So I'll
Amazing.
let you know when it's ready so everyone can use it.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic because, like for us, Helium 10 and all the other tools out there have really helped Amazon sellers because it can be quite intimidating starting an Amazon brand and then you don't know where you're going. I mean, there are definitely resources out there such as YouTube and there's different courses, but you need a little bit more help than just like watch this YouTube video. So being able to have a company such as yours that walks you through the whole process, I think that's really fantastic for what you're doing. I think that's great. So it's only natural that you will come up with some type of software that helps them even further. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was bored of waiting for somebody to
Right.
develop it.
Exactly. And as I said, the more information a seller has, the better they can evolve and the more money they can make, which is what me and you are both in the business of. We want to make sure that we're here to utilize all the resources that we have, but also make sure that our clients are extremely successful. Like their success means our success. Anything
100%.
else that you're working on these days?
A lot of things. The cool thing about working in or focusing on a marketplace that is quote unquote emerging is that there's a need for everything. So there's not a lot of competition, but there's also a lot of demand, and that demand doesn't have enough products, let's say, or enough services to fulfill that demand. Everything and anything is needed. Like there are, and this really came to light because of, I think every market extremely benefited, unfortunately, from what happened in 2020. It was a great thing for e-commerce, but it was unfortunate to humanity, of course.
Right. Exactly.
But because the Middle East was just at the point of embracing e-commerce, and not e-commerce, but marketplaces in particular. What happened in 2020, just, what was expected to happen for the next 5 years actually happened in 6 months.
Mm.
So you see a lot of businesses that pivoted online and on marketplaces, but they don't have the services. Something as simple as photography studios that can create images. You find really good photographers, you find really good product photographers, but they have no idea how marketplaces work. So you have to outsource source this service to somebody in Europe or somebody in India or somebody in the US even. There's nothing localized here yet. So
Which
something
slows
as
down
simple
the
as that
process.
is,
Mhm.
hmm?
Slows down the process a lot when you have
It
to
slows down the
send.
process, but at the same time, there's like, really, if anybody does these types of services, you need to look into the market, because there is a lot of demand, but there's not a lot of service providers that provide all of these services, from softwares to anything else.
Wow, this is such a great insight, especially for those that are listening, because we are also focused on Amazon.com, and it's great. I mean, it's still one of the greatest marketplaces. But as we see all these new marketplaces emerging, and we tend to forget that, hey, we somebody needs to offer some of these products and services. Like you said, there's no Helium 10 there. There's
Yep.
not a software like that. There's not a especially such important things like photography, or I mean, I don't know how, if you have like listing optimization, you probably offer that in your own company, but people should definitely look into that. I think that's one of the greatest advices that we've heard. So
That's why I said, if you have the slightest idea, which you should if you're an Amazon.com seller, and you know how to do all of those things yourself, or you work with companies such as RankBell as well, that does this, that provides a lot of services, you need to look into this market because it's virtually untapped. Yes, it is a small market, but it's expanding and it's growing exponentially really quickly. So you can get in very easily, you can rank very easily, you can do everything if you know how to do it, because
mhm.
most local sellers are still at the level of their learning how all of this is done.
So everybody basically just comes to you whenever they want to launch a new product or a new store. They know you're pretty much the only one that's very involved with Amazon,
I'm
right?
very involved because I potentially maybe I was lucky because well, there's no such thing as luck. It's just preparation, I guess. But no, not everybody comes to me, of course, but they have to figure it out themselves. They either learn it themselves, so they take courses and stuff, which is kind of takes a long time, especially if you are already like a lot of people have established brands and they just want to start selling those brands. They want to start using Amazon as a sales
Mhm.
platform. It's not really, of course, there's a lot of people that are just creating brands just for Amazon, but there are also a lot of brands that just want to pivot to Amazon. So you find people that are trying to learn it themselves. You find people that are outsourcing this service, which is not wrong. But sometimes, if you don't know how it's done yourself, how do you know if the service provider actually is giving you the right information or is doing the correct work? And sometimes, and this is where I get really upset. Sometimes people just say, well, I'll just, do whatever I need to do, the basics, and I'll just hope for the best. And like, how is that going to happen? So they just do the basic stuff and, fingers crossed it works, which obviously is not a good strategy.
Thank you for our listener. Thanks, Jacob and Tiffany, and amazing insights, Crystal. Thank you so much. We appreciate all of you listening live. So if you have any questions for Crystal, let us know. Just type them in, and I'll read them for her. This is so great. I don't think I've ever had anybody on the podcast, from UAE, and this is so important as we move into the next year, and sellers are trying to figure out what are some ways to increase their revenue, and if it's not necessarily possible, Amazon.com, can they expand on other marketplaces? I think this is very, very valuable. How do people find you? I know I usually ask this at the end, but I want people to know, like, throughout our podcast, in case somebody's like just watching and they have to leave soon. How do they find you?
So, what I did in 2019 was something that was like, for me, it was really huge because I decided to start a YouTube channel. Like, I never ever thought that I would do that because I was strictly a B2B type of business. We would reach out to brands that we like, we would partner with them and, tell them what our services were. But what ended up happening in 2019, and that's because Amazon started in 2019, just to give you a little bit of context. So Amazon in the UAE started out in March of 2019. I had already established my business in Dubai, so people were searching and looking for somebody to help them. The most basic questions. And we started getting calls, people showing up at our office, emails, like things that we had never experienced before, especially emails from people asking basic questions such as, what is a barcode? There was absolutely no information. People would watch videos on YouTube, of course, for, selling on Amazon Europe or Amazon US, and they couldn't, it's technically the same information, but it's not. So they were just they were searching for answers.
Mm.
So when that started to happen, I was like, okay, I guess people need information. I have this information. What am I going to do with it? Like, I'm not going to I'm not going to lock it up. I might as well. Like, I wish somebody gave me this information when I first
Exactly.
started. So let me just do a few YouTube videos. First and foremost, people can find us if they are looking for our services. And second, like, if anybody um, asks me the same question again by email, I could just tell him, go ahead and watch the video because like I can't just keep answering the same question
Right.
over and over again. So when we did that, it actually, I was really surprised with how much people were enjoying the content. So, first and foremost, you can find me on YouTube, and our channel is called Amazon Sellers Society. So, we
Mhm.
have a lot of content. And all the content is related to Amazon in the Middle East. So I'm obsessed with Amazon in the Middle East. So if you're thinking of how do I ship my products? How is shipping done? What is customs? All of the logistics stuff, because I'm sure you're worried about this. If you don't know how these things operate, you can find all of the information from the most basic information all the way up to really great interviews. And you're going to be on the channel soon, Isabella, but really great interviews with service providers that can help you also do some things that you would need to do for your business on Amazon in the UAE. Other than that, you can find us everywhere, but our website is assmiddleeast.org, Amazon Sellers Society Middle East.org.
That's fantastic. Jacob said that he shared it with another 14,000 FBA sellers. Thank you so much, Jacob. We appreciate you.
Thanks,
Very sweet.
Jacob.
Very
I
sweet. Thank
have
you.
I think we currently have 32,000 subscribers. So, Jacob, we need to get to 50. Let's push it.
I'm sure a lot of people will find this information very valuable. That's amazing. I love how you went from like sell your own product to like this is not necessarily what I like doing, because that's exactly what happened to me. And being a service
Mhm.
provider in the space, you hear this a lot from sellers. Like, how are you able to provide such an amazing service if you don't sell yourself? I still have my
Yeah.
brand and I still work on it a little bit, but it's not my passion. And I tell people, like, I do not enjoy sitting behind a calculator computer and look into Seller Central all day. Like, it would literally like drain my soul. I love what I do, like with you. I love going to conferences. I love selling just like you do. And but not sitting behind a computer and answering to Jeff Bezos's people all day. This is not who I am. I would literally die. But there are people who are very successful, even more successful than me, and probably all of us together selling on Amazon. And this is why I love it, because we're like the bridge between somebody maybe just starting out, or not even starting out, just somebody selling on Amazon, and how do they get to the next level. And that is what I love. I love receiving an email saying, oh my god, your service changed my life. I love that. Like, there's not a better feeling. Me doing sales on Amazon, like, that's not like, for me, I'm just like, okay, cool, that's it.
I think you as a person evolve. I think that's what happens. So when you start off, I think that's what happened to me. And I know me and you have kind of the same mindset.
Mhm.
So you want to grow as a person, as a human being, and as a business owner. So when you get to a point where, there's like for me, I feel like the more accounts that I'm able to manage, the more products I'm technically selling. So there's never a
Exactly.
dull day. But
Right.
like how many products can I sell on my own? I'm gonna eventually run out of money.
Right.
So I just feel that even though, to be quite honest, and I'm sure you get this, Isabella, it seems to be easier to be a service provider than to be a seller, but I think it's the other way around. I think
Mhm.
it's even more stressful to be a service provider to somebody, because I don't want anybody, if I'm responsible to help you even with your PPC ads, like I definitely don't want you to fail, and I
Exactly.
will take it 10 times more seriously than if it was my own business. So I
I
like the
completely
challenge.
agree. I
And
agree with that.
yeah, I like the challenge. And I think it's just a natural evolution of somebody growing. So when you try it and you like it, you can, like, I'm sure a lot of people would not want to do it. They would rather stay selling on Amazon. I think
Right.
it's a personality thing.
Right. And there's only so many service providers, and there's, thousands and thousands and thousands Amazon sellers. So we are still in the minority. I think a lot more people enjoy selling on Amazon than offering services. And you have to have a certain amount of patience. So, every day, especially like in both of our businesses, I'm sure you get different type of personalities, different kind of people. And it's like now you're not only managing selling a service, but you also have to know how to manage people. You have to know how to manage a business and people and a payroll and employees, so it's a lot more stress than selling one product on Amazon, I believe. So that's why a lot of people don't want to get into the service business,
Yes.
because it's not just one thing, it's like one thing after another. And like you said, we have the pressure of wanting to make sure that everybody's satisfied. Like if they're not satisfied, it's like you're the one hurting inside before anyone else. You're like, oh my god, what happened here? How can I make this better? So I completely agree with that. But tell me a little bit about the blue ocean strategy. I know you're a little bit obsessed with that. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah. So I'm sure if anyone listening, if we say blue ocean strategy, mostly you're going to think, okay, so it has to do with marine biology or something like that. But blue ocean strategy is something that I personally found throughout my business journey, even before starting on Amazon. But I became so obsessed with it that I actually became certified in blue ocean strategy, which has nothing to do with marine biology. It is a business strategy.
Mhm.
So let me know in the comments if you've ever heard about blue ocean strategy, just so I know. So blue ocean strategy is this term, or let's say, I'm going to explain to you quickly, and I think this is going to be very insightful for anyone that sells on Amazon. So it was a term that was coined by two professors of INSEAD University, which is the number one business school in Europe. That's where I studied blue ocean strategy as well. And the idea was that these two professors, they found that there were a lot of companies that were kind of like in an ocean by themselves. They were selling kind of the same products as everybody else, but they had created a completely different business model or a completely different market, thereby making what they call in blue ocean strategy, making your competition irrelevant. Imagine if you can do that on Amazon. So the idea behind blue ocean strategy is creating a new market space and stop competing head to head with other sellers, with other businesses. So this is something that we call in Amazon, we call it differentiate your product. That's what we mostly think about. Blue ocean strategy takes it a little, a step further. So let me give you a brief idea of three companies. Now, I'm giving you the ultimate explanation of what a blue ocean strategy company is, or a business model, but it can be much smaller than that when you apply it to a product on Amazon. So, for example, one of the early adopters of blue ocean strategy was, of course, if you guys like fashion, you know Ralph Lauren. And they created the sub brand called Polo. And the idea of that brand was, okay, you can buy you can buy from a designer, but they don't have to be very expensive.
Mhm.
Now this seems to be like a natural thing, because every single designer is creating what we now call a diffusion line, but which is like an Armani line, but like a sub line where you can still say that you're buying an Armani product or a Gucci or
Mhm.
whatever, but it is much cheaper
Right.
and much more friendly on your pocket. So this was something that was completely insane when they started it, and they had so much pushback from the market, not from customers, from other, of other experts in the market, saying, what? Now people aren't going to be buying your expensive products because now you're ruining the image. But what they did was they created a completely new market of what we call non customers. So, non customers are customers that
You
potentially aren't
wouldn't
your
stop
core
there.
customers,
Right.
but they're customers that might be interested in your product, but you need to make a few tweaks.
That's
So
amazing.
the first thing that you need to think about if you want to adopt a blue ocean strategy, if you guys are interested in this, is, well, the opposite of blue ocean is a red ocean. So the first insight that we talk about in blue ocean strategy is you want to escape the red ocean. in the red ocean, you're selling to the same customers. You're using the same basic strategy as everybody else. And you're potentially selling the same basic products. Maybe your quality is a little bit better or something like that, but it's the same exact product. So the only way you can compete in a red ocean is to either sell cheaper, or if you have more money, like most aggregators nowadays have, you can basically flood the market and become the best seller in that market because you can reduce your costs and sell at a cheaper price, and you can do all of the ads in the world. So that's a red ocean, and that's exactly what we want to escape. When you sell in a blue ocean, then you're finding an uncontested market space. You're basically separating yourself from the competition. So, what you need to do is you need to create and capture new demand, and you need to break what we call the value cost trade off. So, you want customers to pay for your product more than the actual value of the product, which is, I know, sounds fantastic, and I know it sounds quite insane if you're able to do it. And you want to do something known as value innovation. So what value innovation basically means in the terms of blue ocean is that you want to increase the value of the product while reducing the costs at the same time. So let me give you, just as an example, how you can, like, how companies, and I'm giving you examples of things that are not related to Amazon because I want you to, you imagine how you can do that in your business if you are currently selling on Amazon. So one very famous hotel chain that adopted the blue ocean strategy. This hotel chain, if you've ever been to Europe or London, then you've potentially seen it. It's called Citizen M. So what the founders of Citizen M found was, okay, so if you are a traveler and if you're a tourist and you're coming to a city like London, how much time are you going to be spending in your room? And what are the things that you need from a hotel? So they found, okay, you need a really good location. Do you really care about somebody opening the door for you when you get to the hotel? Maybe not. Do you care about having like this huge check-in desk with a bunch of flowers and stuff like that? Maybe not. You can check in yourself, especially if you're a frequent traveler. And do you really care if the hotel has a suite or a junior suite, or do you just care about the bed, the quality of the bed, the shower, the quality of the towels? So what they found was, okay, what we can do is we can eliminate the fancy full service restaurant. We can just have a 24-hour kind of Starbucks coffee shop, for example. We can eliminate the check-in desks. We can eliminate these suites, junior suites, and we can have just one size of room with an amazing bed and great linens. And we can even just have one size of room. Why have like multiple things? And all of that reduces their costs. And what they did was they opened these hotels in the most prime areas possible at a really good price, really reasonable price to, guests. So what they did was they didn't compete with the traditional hotels that have fancy restaurants and that have fantastic big suites and presidential rooms. No, they just created a completely new market for themselves. They also don't adopt the star system, 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars. They don't adopt that system. This is basically what they've done. They've given you really good service at a really good price. They've eliminated things that they don't think people actually need, and they put the hotels in really good areas. So they were able to break out of the red ocean strategy, or the red ocean rather, and create a completely new market for them. There's still a hotel. They're still, competing technically for the same type of thing. They're selling they're trying to have you book a hotel room, but they've created a completely different base of customers and a completely different market.
That is That is incredible. I've never heard of them. Now I want to look them up. I'm like, should I do it now while you're speaking? That's incredible. I wonder how they found out what is important for somebody just coming into town. Like, what are they looking for? Do you think they just surveyed like a certain amount of
Yes,
people,
part of
or
the blue ocean, that's a really good question, Isabella. Part of the blue ocean strategy is, well, you guys, if you just look on Amazon, there's two books written about this. One was kind of an old edition, and the new one is called Blue Ocean Shift. So you can go ahead and buy it. Do I have it here? No, I
and
don't.
I have
So
I have the book here as well. I think this is the one you're referring to, right? The Blue Ocean.
yes, that's the blue ocean strategy. And the new one is
We're always
It's
ready.
the blue ocean shift.
You should see my room where I'm at right now. It's all books on both sides. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember reading that. And I just
Yeah.
like pulled it from this side.
So in the blue ocean strategy, you get the idea behind blue ocean. But in the new book, Blue Ocean Shift, um, hold on, let me send you like a referral link so I can make some money out
Of
of
course,
this.
always. Oh, we always need
No,
to
I'm
make that.
joking. So in the blue ocean shift, you'll find they break down the steps and exactly the system of how you can figure out all of those things. So the idea is you want to try to figure out what are the things that you can eliminate in order to reduce your costs, but what are the things that are very important so that you can increase your value. And that's exactly what Citizen M did. And they actually did it. They did this whole exercise, let's call it, with one of my professors. So the person that was teaching me about blue ocean, she was their consultant. And yes, they did. They consulted, they asked, they tried to figure out people who travel to, really interesting destinations such as Amsterdam. They're all over Europe, but London, like these really, really great cities. What do you do? You kind of spend 90% of your time outside of your hotel room. And you're technically not really going to use the full service restaurant because you want to go out, you want to explore the city. So they were able to figure those out. And that's how they ended up creating this product. So, yes, it is a system that you can follow, even if you're selling something as simple as a product on Amazon. You don't have to have a hotel.
I love it. And I don't know if I told you this when we first talked, but Rank Bell, this is actually where we're moving into this almost this like blue ocean strategy, but for Amazon sellers. So what we decided to do, and I've never talked about it on the podcast before. So for those listening, this is the first time I'm mentioning this. We are trying to gather all this information from actual real shoppers of those
Yeah.
people who actually want these products, and let them basically create your product. We
Oh my
want
God.
the consumers to give you feedback, because what happens, Crystal, as you know, you're deep in the Amazon space as well. Us as gurus, right? As Amazon service providers, Amazon PPC agencies, whatever, we all have our own idea what the consumer wants.
Yeah.
We have a general idea. We know they like, beautiful listing images. We know they like this, but do we really truly know what they want? We really don't. You know when we know,
Yeah.
Crystal, when we get a
Yeah.
1-star review, when we get a 1-star review, we're like, oh wait,
God
they didn't
forbid.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
They didn't like that. So we decided to completely change that and start from the end back to the beginning. And this is what we're moving towards with Rank Bell. And we haven't launched it yet. And that's why I just got so excited, because when you were talking, I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what we're
Yeah.
doing. Like moving from that red ocean to this blue ocean, because knowing what your consumer actually wants, like Citizen M.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
genius. And I've never heard of them before, by the way. Like, this is genius, because you're right. What if you get into London at 3 a.m. and you don't really care about waiting in line for an hour or having that fancy,
Yeah.
suite? You just want to go to sleep. You're just so
Yeah.
tired from traveling, you just want to go to sleep. I think this is brilliant. Brilliant.
Exactly. And I think what you're doing is also brilliant
Thank
because
you.
I think the toughest thing to for a seller on Amazon is to try to remove your own judgment. Like, you shouldn't be, you don't necessarily need to love or be the user of your product in order to sell it. At the end of the day, if your strategy is, I want to sell and I want to make money, I don't have to be a professional chef in order to sell products for cooking. Like, I don't need to even love cooking. But it's very tough to remove
Of course.
your own opinion because you're a human being. Like, you can't say, like, if I don't like the color yellow, I'm just not going to like it. So I'm not going to understand who is going to like yellow if I choose yellow as my packaging or my
Right.
background or whatever. So that is fantastic because you don't really truly know
We don't.
what your customers want. And I think everybody gets the same advice nowadays. Log into Amazon, read all the reviews, and try to figure out what people like and what people don't like. Well, that's exactly what everybody else is doing. That's exactly
Exactly.
what your competitors are doing. So
That's
you want to try to
exactly
think a little bit outside of the box. That's absolutely genius. Sign me
Thank
up.
you. You're so sweet. Thank you. Well, we wanted to offer the most value, and in a Amazon world of so many red ocean companies,
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
hard to differentiate. And the one thing that I've always got, the one question that always came to us at Rangbell was, okay, Isabella, now you put me on page one, but how do I stay there? And I
Ah,
just said, well, just like everybody else says, make sure your listing is optimized, make sure this, but there was nothing really much that I could offer them. But now I realized I have all of it. I have all the data that an actual Amazon seller needs to make their product better. Imagine, Crystal, if you're already on page one, but now your product is so good. It's so good because it was literally built by your consumers. How can you fail? How can you fail?
it's amazing. Would it be something that you would like a service that you would use before you actually start selling on Amazon? So
You can
once you
you
are at the point where you're developing the product, or is it after? Or is it both?
amazing question. I feel like now you're interviewing me. This is great.
No, I'm
Um,
interested.
you can use it both ways. One, yes, it would be crucial if you were able to, once you picked your product and actually made a deal with your manufacturer, to be able to send some of these samples out to a number of people. Absolutely. But then even after, imagine, being on Amazon, and every single month you get feedback on how your product is doing on all these different areas. This month you're doing terrible, and this month you're doing amazing on this. How do we keep you on this high level that your customers are never going to be dissatisfied, and you're always going to get those good reviews because now your product is actually really good, and you're avoiding getting the one-star reviews? Because that's what most people do right now. Like, they try to create a better product by looking every single month, oh, I got a one-star review because this is what happens to the product. Like, why would you ever have to wait on that
Yeah,
if we can identify it before and maybe create a different way of using that product? But anyway, I thought it
that's
would be
very
very
smart. And I
helpful.
think I think Isabella, that's also a problem for, like, if you have launched a product or products, a brand on Amazon, and if you've succeeded, which hopefully you have, now you're frozen because now you're like, okay, what do I do? Like, what if it was like beginner's luck, or what if technically it's not beginner's luck, but what if I launch another product and it's gonna fail? So a
Right.
lot of people I see get into, the term analysis paralysis, where they are over analyzing the product if it's their first time selling it, or they're over analyzing the product if they are at the level where they're expanding and they just don't want to fail. Who wants to fail? Nobody.
Right.
So it's really good.
Thank you. How are you using the blue ocean strategies in helping your own clients?
So I think thank you for that question. I think all of my business model is, so the thing that I want to explain is blue ocean strategy, just like you've developed it, or like
Mhm.
you've integrated it into your business. It doesn't really need to be an invention. Like, it would
Right.
be great if I had the money to invent a completely new product. That's fantastic. But sometimes an invention also costs a lot of money. But it can be just as simple as looking at a different marketplace like the Middle East. It could be something as providing a service that nobody else is providing, just like you are doing. So I think our business intrinsically is in the blue ocean market because that's where we are operating. That's exactly what we are doing. And the services that we provide, we also help people. So, and this is something that we did just, and I know a lot of people are doing it, but we're doing it primarily just for the Middle East. And we did it because we got a lot of feedback from our customers saying, and from people who watch the YouTube channel and stuff saying, we need this. So we started helping people from zero, like basically from even finding products for them, sourcing products for them, getting the products over to the Middle East, launching these products. So this is also a service that we started providing. It's not necessarily a blue ocean per se, the service, but it is being adopted in a blue ocean way and in a blue ocean market as well. So we get a lot of people telling us, "Can you do the same thing in Europe?" I can, but I don't want to because I just want to focus on the market where I know I'm just swimming by myself.
Right. I love that. A lot of people ask us if we offer rainbow in Europe, and I had a tendency at one point, and I tried. It's just I'm European myself, so I know the mentality there is very different around
Yeah.
anything and everything. So I'm like, you know what? I think I will let the other service providers take care of those areas. I think everybody can have a piece of this Amazon eco space. So I'm not that greedy to try to go into all the markets, and I would probably literally go crazy. So yeah, it's good. I mean, we're in a position to do what we like to do and also put our focus on the clients that we have and make sure that they have the optimal results. Like, I love that. Like, it makes me happy knowing that my clients are killing it.
I was actually in the conversation today with someone about this, and I was thinking, when do you know it's the right step for you as a business owner or even as, an Amazon seller to inject a lot of money into your business and say, okay, I'm going to like dominate the world. I'm going to sell everywhere, or I'm going to provide my services everywhere. When do you know, and is that the correct strategy? When do you know you should do that, and is that the correct strategy? So I was actually thinking about it, like why would I not do it? Why? Well, I can do it. Is it actually a decision based on fear, or is it actually a decision based on thinking, no, I just want to be in this space and I want to dominate this space? So what do you think?
What was your result? And now I'm curious. Like, what did you decide to do?
My decision is early on, I've always wanted to, for me, the thing that I love to do is building businesses. So I started, like, I'm obsessed with business. I started when I was maybe like my first job, like a lot of people, obviously, my first part time job was at 13. That's not something new. But what I used to read at 13 years old, I used to read all the business magazines. I used to read Fortune magazine, Inc., every single business magazine out there, which is kind of odd for a 13-year-old kid. Like, it's very, very odd. But I've been always obsessed with businesses. My thing is, right now we're in an era, especially for service providers like myself and Rankbell, where it's better to be specialized in an area where you can really be number one in, and then if you want to later on get investors involved, get your company sold or something like that, because that's basically how I want to evolve this business, then you can do it. But you can do it because you're so specialized in a particular field or in a particular category if you're selling on Amazon.
I think we are losing you, Crystal. Let's give it a few moments and see if Crystal is able to join us back. In the meantime, let me answer a question. Hassan, hello, Isabel and Crystal. What are your thoughts about Pakistan Amazon virtual assistant service? I think having a service, having an amazing service could be beneficial to everyone. So if your question is if you should start your own Amazon virtual assistant service, sorry, Crystal, I'm just reading a question because I had lost you for a second. Um,
Yes.
I, I think this question, it can be really about any other service. If you think you are able to provide a lot more value than, let's say, your competitors, I'm always agreeing with opening any type of service. I mean, anything that can help other people. I think it's really fantastic. What do you think about this question, Crystal?
I think, Hassan, based on the logo on your picture, I think you are being trained by enablers. And there are, I don't know if Isabella has that information. In Pakistan, there are a lot of fantastic companies that are currently um, providing training for a lot of people based in Pakistan to be really good virtual assistants. So one of them is enablers. The other one is called um, something I forgot, but there are a few companies that are doing this service and they're absolutely amazing. The reason why they started this is because Pakistan, prior to a few months ago, people living in Pakistan were not able to sell on Amazon. So now this has changed, and now they are able. They are part of the accepted list of countries that are able to register on Amazon. So things have shifted. Now people, if you can assist somebody, why not do it yourself? So that's what a lot of people are doing. But I think people are getting trained, and it's a really good service, of course.
Awesome. Perfect. And yeah, I had lost you a little bit, and
Yes.
I don't know what happened. It's
I don't know.
probably your internet is like, Crystal, you've worked so much today. I think it's
No, no,
time for you
it's
to take a
normal. No, no, my internet is used to it.
it's completely normal. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I mean, you are doing such amazing things, Crystal. And um
I
thank
love talking to you because you always give me so much positive energy. Thank you
Oh my
so
God,
much.
you're so sweet. We have to thank Nick for introducing us, and yeah, we definitely had a very good connection when we first spoke, and I definitely look forward to doing many great things together in the future. And even you mentioning the blue ocean strategy, I think a lot of people don't realize that we have so many resources at our fingertips. I mean, there's just so many books out there that it can definitely become overwhelming. Do you have any other books that you feel like completely change your overview of how you do business, or maybe even self-development? Is there anything else that you'd like to recommend to us today?
Yes, I love a lot of, most of the books. I think most of the books that I'm going to tell you about, you've already read, but they just really resonated with me. One book, a lot of Malcolm Gladwell's books, one of them is called The Tipping Point. So this book in particular talks about the the trajectory of how a brand, the trajectory that a regular brand would go through, and that's why it's called tipping point, because a brand gets to a tipping point whereby if it doesn't make any change, it's just going to go back down. So I would suggest that you highly, if you have any business or if you have any brand, that you actually read this book, because it's very interesting to learn how you have to develop or how you should develop a brand, and to watch out for those things. Another recent, I really love to read also biographies, but not like biographies of random people, of course, because I think it's very insightful. I'm very curious. The last one I'm currently reading the biography of Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney. But so I'll let you know about that one. It seems to be okay. But the one that I just finished is Shoe Dog, the
Mm.
founder, Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. If you are a business owner, you have to read this book, because even the founder of Nike, even him, like Nike, like the biggest brand potentially in the world, even Phil Knight has had so many ups and downs.
Of
So if
course.
you are currently going through the motions and you read this book, you're like, oh, okay, it's normal, it's not always smooth sailing. Okay, great. So
Yes.
those two books are great also.
Oh, I love that you mentioned that because it can be quite heavy on our souls, like every day dealing with Amazon, a lot of people, they want to give up. And I see this in my line of business. I've been doing this for close to 8 years now. I see people coming in and leaving, coming in and leaving, and I see the ones that are staying, how fast they have grown,
Yep.
because all they had to do was stay consistent and not give up at the first sign of problems, because the problems that you have now are nothing compared to the ones you're going to have when you reach different points in your business. Like the problems you have at 5 figure are not the same that you're going to have at 7 figure or 8 figure. Those would be even bigger than this. So we cannot give up at the first sign. And like you said, like even somebody like the Nike founder, they all go through this
Yeah.
and they stay consistent and they never give up, which is what brings them to that point of major success. Like that's fantastic.
100%. And I think once you start reading people's biographies, especially when it comes to business, you figure out that you are given as much as your capacity. So anybody who's religious understands this. So you're given blessings and gifts and whatever. You're given as much as you are capable of handling. So if I'm only capable of handling 5 figures, that's exactly what I'm going to get. So I need to grow my capacity and be able to handle more so that I can be given more. That's how the law of the universe works. That's how, if you're a religious person, that's exactly how God works. So that's how the world works. So if I'm the type of person that if I'm stuck in a traffic jam, that's the end of the world for me, then that's it. That's my capacity. I'm only going to grow this much. But if I try to work on myself and I'm not saying it's easy, of course it's not. But if I try to expand and be able to, hold more, then I'll be given more. And that's exactly what we all want. We all want to grow, but we have to be open to the fact that it's not going to be a smooth road, unfortunately.
Yeah, and open to, the fact that we have to create this capacity. We have to
Yeah.
create this room because we're all given the same room, right? But it's like the difference between us and somebody else who might not want to take on so much, because with every step comes a little bit more responsibility. Like when we first started, having one client is not the same as having 100 clients or 500 clients. It's like bigger responsibility now because you don't want your quality to diminish in any way. So it's like the bigger you get, the more responsibility. Yes, you going to make more money, but also there comes a lot with that. So are you going to crack, or are you going to be able to like open yourself to learning more, always staying educated, and making sure you deliver a good product or service in our case? I think that's great advice.
100%. And I think the great thing of, everything being so open nowadays, social media, YouTube, stuff like that, you can actually find that people have gone through this same exact problem and they either stopped and failed, but you can find a lot of people that have just moved past it and they found a way. And once you figure out, okay, so let's for example talk about Amazon. So if I'm a 7 figure seller, there's somebody who's a 10 figure seller and they're
Mhm.
just a human being. They're not like a robot or an alien. So if they figured it out, then yeah, I'm sure it's not easy, but I can figure it out as well. So it's interesting. So that's what competition does. And that's why I love competition, because when you're competing against somebody else, even if it's in a blue ocean, you can just push yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, I love it. And which is why you probably created the Amazon Seller Society. You are sharing all these tips there and helping sellers swim out of the red ocean and swim more toward the blue ocean. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's what you love doing. And I love that you made time to come for us today
Oh
and
my God. Thank
share
you
some
so
of your
much. Thank you for
share some
your
of
thank
your
you for everyone
wisdom.
who's listening, watching, who's gonna listen in the future. I hope you guys got a lot of insight. Go buy the Blue Ocean book and
Yeah,
maybe go get certified also.
exactly. So Blue Ocean, Tipping Point, Shoe Dog, and follow Crystal on YouTube and check out Amazon Seller Society Middle East. And I think we covered pretty much everything, right, Crystal? Did I forget anything?
Anybody needs anything related to, if you're thinking of launching in the Middle East, anything, please go ahead and contact us. And I'll be happy to share all the knowledge and insights, because it is a really interesting market. If you're thinking, I wish I launched in, for example, Amazon. Like, if you are a person who's thinking, I wish I started selling on Amazon 10 years ago. I wish I started selling in Europe 5 years ago. So,
Mhm.
this is exactly where we are at in the Middle East. If you're somebody like me who thought this whole Instagram thing was nonsense, like, you're taking pictures of your food. That's how Instagram started. How are you going to make a business out of this? Like, people just live off of their Amazon accounts. So if you're somebody who um, always thinks, oh, I wish I was a little bit ahead of the curve, potentially look into the Middle East. I'm not saying just go for it. Look into it, because it might be something it might be a good market for your products, because, well, basically it is a blue ocean right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. We love you so
Thanks so
much.
much,
Thank you for
Isabella. Thank
coming.
you.
And thank you for everyone listening. Seller Sessions every Monday with Isabella. And hopefully, we have Crystal again someday. Much love to
Okay.
you.
Thank you.